All right, good afternoon. We welcome you to the Senate Committee on Education. We welcome all those who are with us online and also present by phone. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Vice Chair Dondero-Loop.
Here.
Senator Hardy.
Here.
Senator Hammond. Senator Hammond. Senator Lang.
Here.
Senator Buck.
Here.
Senator Dignate.
Here.
Chair Dennis.
Here, and if you'll just mark Senator Hammond here when he arrives. Thank you. And just we do have a quorum, so we'll move forward at this point. There he is. I see Senator Hammond now. Make sure to mark him here.
Very sorry, Chair. I put the wrong code in a couple of times. It wouldn't let me in.
Yeah, I know the feeling. Thank you. For those on the video, keep yourself muted when not speaking. Committee information is available on Nellis, which can be accessed through the legislature's website. You may also watch our meetings through Nellis or the legislature's YouTube channel. I suspect if you're hearing me say that, you probably already figured that out because you're on one of those two. If you are testifying or providing public comment, please register to participate through Nellis and you will receive an email confirmation with call-in information. And those instructions are also available on the help page. On every page on Nellis. And when testifying, it's important that you state and spell your name and affiliation, if any. We just want to make sure that the record is straight and who said what. And so when we'll also take public comment at the end of the meeting, and I will limit that to 2 minutes per person. And then also feel free to submit any comments that you might have in written testimony, and you can submit that as outlined on the agenda by emailing or faxing them to the committee manager. And I think that's it. I think if everybody is here, I think I want to do the work sessions first. And actually, let me go over the agenda because we do have some time restraints on some of the folks presenting. We'll do the two work sessions first, and then I'm going to take SB 215 first, and then SB 194. And so we'll go in that order. So with that, let's start with the work session on. And I don't know if everybody's here. I'm trying to see if we've got all our folks here in case we have some questions. Let's start with SB 340. Let's start with SB 173. So if staff, I believe Ms. Sturm is going to walk us through that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jen Sturm, Committee Policy Analyst. The first bill on today's work session is Senate Bill 173, which was presented by Senator Dondero-Loop on March 17th. This bill authorizes the Board of Trustees of each school district and the State Public Charter School Authority to submit a plan to address learning loss caused by the COVID-19 pandemic to the state superintendent. This plan must include the options for pupils to attend summer school either in person or online, and a description of the manner in which schools and school districts, including charter schools, will target students most at risk of learning loss. The bill requires a school district or charter school offering summer school to include transportation and meal services. Additionally, SB 173 requires that personnel hired for summer school programs receive supplemental pay equal to their contract rate. The bill also requires school districts and the Charter School Authority to submit a report regarding certain information relating to the plans to address learning loss to the state superintendent by October 31st, 2021, Nevada's Department of Education will submit a compiled report to the governor and the legislature by November 30th of this year. And then we do have a couple amendments proposed by the bill sponsor, which are attached to the work session document here. The first amendment deletes lines 13 through 18 in section 1 of section 6 regarding the reversion of money after December 31st, 2021. And the second amendment would add a sunset date of December 31st, 2021 to clarify that the use of the appropriations will end on that date. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Dondero-Loop, do you have any additional information you want to share before we take this for a vote?
Chair, thank you for recognizing me. Senator Dondero-Loop for the record. No, the amendments are fairly clear in this document that we've received. So I appreciate very much, and I look forward to summer school for all our children.
Thank you. Other questions? Okay, so I saw, let's see, I think Senator Lang and then Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Chair. Senator Loop, I am just curious about the money flow. If you could explain to me, so we're getting this money, are we giving a chunk to the school districts, or we're going to wait to see how many people enroll and we give that much to the school district? How is that going to work? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Dondero-Loop for the record. The money will come from the American Recovery Plan, and that will come to the state. It will flow to the school districts. Each school district has been identified with a certain amount of money, and they will get that money, and they will be asked to spend at least a portion of it, if not all of it, on summer school. And just as an added piece there, the federal government will also provide guidelines when that comes out.
Great, thank you.
Senator Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So does that make our White Pine County and our Humboldt County fiscal notes go away? And Lincoln County and
Senator Dondero-Loop for the record. Ms. Sturm, can you answer that? Because I don't know, to be honest with you, I don't know when right off the top of my head, I do not know exactly when the fiscal notes came in, if they came in before or after the amendment. But as they are, Senator Hardy, they still would be receiving money from the federal government.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Jen Sturm, Committee Policy Analyst. My understanding is that fiscal notes are submitted on bills as introduced, but we can certainly check into that, or if our committee council has anything to add to that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Asher Killian, Committee Counsel. Fiscal notes are given on the bill as introduced, so the fiscal notes would not account for any amendments made to this bill. Also, while the bill allows for federal money to be used for these purposes, the bill was written broadly enough so that we would have flexibility to use any federal money that comes in, since the bill was drafted before the Federal Relief Act was passed. So this might be a better question to be addressed by a money committee and your fiscal analysts in determining whether and to what extent the costs identified by these local districts would be covered by the federal money we're expecting to receive.
so, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
So are we talking about kind of an amend do pass and refer to the Finance Committee?
Well, we'll do an amend and do pass, and then I believe that the Finance Committee will grab it when it gets, if that's what I mean. Usually they will. I had not been given that exact information that they're going to grab it, but I would just assume that they will. Ms. Vice Chair Dondero Loop, do you know if they've talked to you about that?
They have not, but if the fiscal notes were applied before the bill was amended, it may be that the fiscal notes are not there any longer. And as you can see, some of the fiscal notes are zero, and some of them actually have an account of money to them. So if those fiscal notes stood, it may very well be that the Chair of Finance grabs them. But if not, if the fiscal notes go away, then it would just go straight to the assembly side.
Well, it would go to the floor and then we would vote on it there.
Yes, I'm sorry. It would go to the floor and then it would go to the other body.
Well, one of my observations is the rural counties, I'll call them, seem to think that there's going to be a discrepancy between what they got before and what they get now. And so I don't want to put them in a position of passing something on them without them being able to meet it. So the federal money, does the federal money come to the school district or does it come to the state and we divide it up to the school districts?
Senator Dondero Loop, for the record, each school district has been, I don't want to say assigned, but allocated a certain amount, and not all small school districts have a fiscal note. We don't have a fiscal note from Story, Pershing, Mineral, Nye, Lyon, Lander, and Eureka, all those and Churchill. So the small school districts are not all with a fiscal note. I do see Superintendent Ebert on the call. She might be able to give you some additional information on the transfer of the money, but my understanding is it will come from the federal government to the state, and they have been allocated a certain amount that they know, and that will go straight to the school districts upon submission of their plan. But Superintendent Ebert, if you have additional information that you would like to give, I would be happy to have you testify, please.
Yeah, Ms. Siebert, would you answer that question if you're able to?
Thank you, Chair Dennis and Vice Chair Dondero Loop. For the record, my name is Joan Ebert, State Superintendent of Public Instruction. So the funds that are coming in, the most recent funds, which are the American Rescue Plan, they come into the state. 90% of those funds go directly to the school districts based on a formula from the federal government. From the 90% of those funds, the school districts must spend them on learning loss. 20%, excuse me. Of the 90, they must spend 20% on learning loss. And summer school is one of those items that would definitely fit in that category.
If I may, Mr. Chair. So
please go ahead.
If you could answer directly, will each one of those fiscal notes then from Lincoln County, Humboldt County, Douglas County, White Pine County, will they all go away because the federal government will give us enough money to make them disappear?
Superintendent Ebert, for the record, I cannot speak on behalf of those school districts. What I can tell you that overall between SR 1, 2, and 3, it is nearly $1.5 billion that's being allocated for student success in our state. And so, again, I can't respond directly for those school districts, but meeting with the superintendents last week, they did indicate that they're very glad that the funds are here and can see the supports for children moving forward.
Senator Hardy, I believe we have Ms. Brzezinski on with us. She might be able to respond maybe for the rurals. I'm not sure, but since we have her here, we could ask.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Senator. You know, I will have to check with the rules. I really can't answer that question.
Okay, appreciate that.
And my apologies, I just don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I obviously am concerned and will vote for this and reserve my right to change my vote on the floor, but I am concerned that we need to ascertain if those fiscal notes are going to go away, or if Clark County, for instance, is going to soak up all the money and then my rurals will not have the money they think that's coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, Senator Lang.
Senator Dennis, I would like to make a motion to amend and do pass Senate Bill 173.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Seconded by Senator Donate.
Thank you, Senator Donate. Is there any further discussion? I don't see any. So with that, then if we could do the vote, if the secretary could do the vote.
Vice Chair Dondero Loop,
Yes?
Senator Hardy,
Yes, reserving my right.
Senator Hammond,
Yes.
Senator Lang,
Yes.
Senator Buck,
Yes.
Senator Donate,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, thank you. All right, so then let's now have Ms. Sturm, if you would do SB 342.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jen Sturm, Committee Policy Analyst. The next bill on today's work session is Senate Bill 342, which was presented by Senator Dennis on March 24th. This bill authorizes the Board of Regents to enter into an agreement to affiliate with a publicly or privately owned medical facility or related entity to further promote and enhance a medical or health education program at a university. The bill further provides that these agreements are subject to policies established by the board. And Mr. Chair, there were no proposed amendments for this bill.
Okay, thank you. And if you will recall, we had this discussion just last week. There was a question, I believe, from Senator Hardy concerning the residency, and I think we have somebody here from the university that could answer that, just so we can clear that up. And I can't see everybody, so I'm not sure who's here from the universities.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
My question was not limited to the residency, but to medical students being able to access Renown's and UNSUM's program. So when we have medical students from Roseman, UNLV, Touro, in addition to whatever else, as well as physician assistants, being able to go to Renown and be able to do clinical rotations, which is before residency. And in order to get into residency, it's always nice to go to the place where you want to go for residency. And so if you don't mind, I will say that I had a conversation with Chris Bossy, who assured that Renown was going to accept students from other institutions. And Dean Schwenk, I was able to talk with him, and he was effusive in saying that he wants everybody, and he wants the PAs, the medical students, for recruiting purposes. He wants everybody. He recognizes that he accepts residents who are DOs, MDs, accept the PAs into programs, and Renown obviously wants everybody because they want to hire them and use them and improve the medical penetration of access to care. So those were the conversations that I had with Chris Bossy as well as Dean Schwenk earlier today, if that helps you.
Thank you. So does that clarifies the questions that you had?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion. Oh, yeah, Senator Donate.
Not really a question. I just want to put it on the record, a quick comment. I just want to thank the committee legal counsel for clarifying some of the issues that we recognized last time during the meeting. And I know that this bill is more intended towards the University of Nevada entirely and the border region. So I'm wondering if that's going to impact like schools that aren't affiliated with the border regions, like for instance, like Torrey University from entering into a contract agreement with like a hospital. But anyways, I'm really glad that the legal counsel helped us figure that out. So, and I'm fully supportive of the bill. So thank you.
Great.
And Mr. Chair, Joe Hardy speaking.
Yeah.
If what my impression was wrong and someone who's listening needs to correct that, I'd be happy for them to correct it. I don't know who's online and who isn't, but I suspect the university is online. I suspect somebody from Renown is online. If I was misstating, I would love for it to be corrected. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't believe we have anybody from the university on the line at the moment, but I'm sure we could get that clarified. But I think that we've had hopefully answered all your questions. Is there any other questions before I entertain a motion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion, but if the motion is a do pass from Senator Darrell Loop.
Second.
Who was that? Second from Senator Donate? Oh, who was? Oh, Hammond. Senator Hammond. Second. Any further discussion? All right. We'll go ahead and take the vote. If the secretary will take the vote.
Vice Chair Darrell Loop,
Yes.
Senator Hardy,
Yes.
Senator Hammond,
Yes.
Senator Lang,
Yes.
Senator Buck,
Yes.
Senator Donate,
Yes.
Chair Dennis.
Yes, thank you. Okay. All right. So and those two obviously Senator Darrell Loop, you'll do the floor statement for the first one that we did, and then I will do the floor statement for this one that we just did. So with that, to our bills that we're going to hear today. And as I mentioned, we're going to do them in reverse order. So we're going to do 215 first, SB 215, and then we'll do SB 194. And Madam Vice Chair, if you will take over the gavel and go ahead and start the hearing on 215.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Welcome, and we will be hearing Senate Bill 194, and this bill will establish the state sale of civics program. So when you're ready, Chair Dennis, please go ahead.
We're actually doing 215.
Apologies. We'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 215. Go ahead when you're ready, please.
Thank you. I'm sure Senator Lang was freaking out a little bit when I was presenting her bill. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of Madam Vice Chair and members of the committee. For the record, Senator Mo Dennis, representing Senate District 2 in Clark County, here today present Senate Bill 215 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting shift to distance learning. This bill seeks to modernize certain requirements related to alternative scheduling and distance education. Present with me today is Joan Ebert, Superintendent of Public Instruction, Felipe Avila, a student in Clark County, and Carla Phillips, Quebecois, Senior Director of Policy with Knowledge Works. I will begin with some background on SB 215 and then walk the committee through the sections of the bill. After I speak, Superintendent Ebert will provide additional context for the bill and present a proposed amendment. We will also hear from Mr. Avila on the importance of this legislation and his experience participating on the Blue Ribbon Commission for a Globally Prepared Nevada. Finally, Ms. Phillips will speak to the commission's work. As society evolves and current processes are challenged, we strive to adapt our methods and perspectives to meet new demands. That mindset has resurfaced by what we have experienced over the past year with distance learning and its corresponding challenges. Earlier this session, we heard presentations by school districts and others on how distance learning truly became a necessity for more students than ever before. Going forward, we need to ensure that Nevada's system allows for the flexibility needed to support student success no matter where their classroom is or their style of learning. Last fall, Nevada's Department of Education convened the Blue Ribbon Commission for a Globally Prepared Nevada, which brought together a diverse group of educators, education stakeholders to examine and adjust the current policy framework to meet today's learning conditions. Senate Bill 215 carries the recommendations developed by the Commission. Senate Bill 215 has three main pillars. Those elements address: 1, distance education plans; 2, plans to improve access to technology; and 3, flexibilities in instructional time. First, beginning with Section 2, SB 215 requires school districts and charter schools to develop and present plans for distance education and share those plans with their communities, families, and school staff. Second, to ensure all students and staff have access to the technology and connectivity necessary to participate in education, Section 2 also requires: 1, identification of students, teachers, and other school staff who do not have access to the technology necessary to participate in a program of distance education, and 2, a plan to make that technology available to those individuals. Third, SB 215 provides flexibilities in how students and educators accomplish their work specifically. Section 3 allows for students who demonstrate progress in a distance education course to complete the course in a shorter period of time. Section 1 provides flexibilities for the calendar used by districts by removing certain limitations on alternative scheduling. And Section 3 allows the school districts to include their own model curriculum in an application for distance education. And then I want to address the fiscal impact. I'd like, just shortly, you'll see that there's some impacts on there. Some of those impacts were there based on interpretation of what they are required to do. So I think that, you know, those we will talk to those folks to figure out if those still need to remain there or not. But I just wanted to make you aware that there are some fiscal notes from some of the school districts. I would like to introduce State Superintendent Joan Ebert to speak on the work of the Commission, as well as the proposed amendments that include additional recommendations by the Commission.
Thank you, Senator Dennis. We definitely appreciate your continued leadership. For the record, my name is Joan Ebert, State Superintendent of Public Instruction. I'm thankful to be here today with all of you who are continued laser focus on education and support for Nevada's children. As we know, COVID-19 has without a doubt been a turning point for education. And within the Department of Education, we are committed to seizing this opportunity to pave a better future. A future where student mastery, and this bill does exactly that, a student mastery is more important than how much time a student spends in a seat. A future where a student learns in a culturally responsive environment where they see themselves in the learning materials and their differences are valued and celebrated. And a future where every student graduates with the tools they need to build a home, a life, and a future, and that they're globally prepared. As Senator Dennis mentioned, Senate Bill 215 is based on the work of the Blue Ribbon Commission for a Globally Prepared Nevada. I convened the Blue Ribbon Commission last fall, and I'm proud of the great work they have done in a very short period of time. We pulled together a diverse group of stakeholders with two key purposes. At the start, we wanted to recommend updates and flexibilities in statute that reflected the ways the districts and schools adapted during the COVID-19. As the work progressed, we moved toward a more visionary goal, future-proofing Nevada's education system. The Commission's charge was to make recommendations to adjust our current policy framework to meet today's learning conditions, while also leaving room for policies that will support innovation for the next 10 to 20 years. I want to thank the legislators, including Assemblywoman Monroe Moreno and Tolles, school district superintendents, staff, public charter school, and private school principals, classroom teachers, higher education, business partners, advocates, parents, students, who all served as part of this commission. The legislation heard today is a testament to their commitment to creating a more equitable education system for every student. We know that the academic recovery from COVID-19 will be K-shaped. When looking at students from high, middle, and low-income zip codes, while their progress on math achievement was almost completely in alignment between January and March of 2020, since the school buildings across the nation closed, students from low-income zip codes are making significantly less progress than before, while students from high-income zip codes are making remarkably more progress than before the building closures. This means that as we plan for recovery and renewal next school year, we need to be thinking differently about how we group our students in classes and cohorts. Competency-based education enables us to meet students where they are and support them through success. Moving away from seat time to mastery has never been more important than this moment. I want to thank Senator Dennis for his continued support of competency-based education and his leadership in incorporating many of the Commission's recommendations into Senate Bill 215. I also want to recognize Nevada Department of Education Directors Dave Brandkamp and Craig Statuki for leading this work, along with Deputy Superintendents Dr. Jonathan Moore and Felicia Gonzalez, who were here with me today for technical support as I introduce the amendments to Senate Bill 215. The department's amendments to Senate Bill 215 carries additional recommendations from the Blue Ribbon Commission. The amendment, which is posted as an exhibit, revises section 2.3 that the plan to provide technology includes communication with students, families, and staff. It increases the number of days before the start of a school year that the school district shares its distance education plan from 20 days to 45 days before the start of the school year in section 2.6. Also in section 2.6 included conforming changes for schools for the profoundly gifted students. And in 2.6, we include a distance education plan implementation language, which removes section 2.6 paragraph D, as it is duplicative to the requirements which you heard in Senate Bill 66 by the Clark County School District. Section 3.1 includes synchronous and asynchronous learning, and where participants are geographically separated for the delivery of instruction. Section 3.2, with the language originally proposed by the Commission, we also are adding demonstrates sufficient knowledge of the state standards may complete the course. And so there, what we're talking about is that a student may accelerate through a course faster, if you will, than we traditionally see, and or at another pace so that they can increase to success and that they've demonstrated the competencies for that material. Now, I am pleased and honored to introduce Carla Phillips Quebecois, who is from KnowledgeWorks, who helps lead us through all of this work. Carla.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Superintendent, Mr. Chairman, members of the Senate Committee on Education. My name is Carla Phillips Quebecois, and I'm the Senior Policy Director for KnowledgeWorks. And it was indeed my privilege to shepherd the work of the Blue Ribbon Commission for Globally Prepared Nevada. As the superintendent noted, the commission membership represented many key stakeholders. I have to be honest with you, when we began this work, I thought it was going to take some time to get the members up to speed on issues and agreement on key principles, and I could not have been more wrong. The commission members came in ready, willing, and able, and ready to work from day one. Very early on, the members narrowed in on two key foundational agreements that they wanted to say, we all agree on this, but we're going to put it aside for now. And one is, of course, a commitment to equity. And regardless of what direction they went to, they wanted to make sure that that was always a priority and that there was an assumption of funding underneath. But those will be debated in different committees and in different days. But the topics that quickly bubbled up to the top are virtually identical to those we've heard all across the country. And the traditional conception of learning has been defined by time and place and the number of minutes spent in a traditional classroom. And the pandemic shutdown of schools has definitely shattered that very quickly. The flexibility that schools needed was clearly seen all across the country, really, in executive orders, emergency directives, and waivers. The traditional policy foundation didn't allow schools to react quickly to the crisis, nor does it provide the space to iterate as we move forward. As the Commission's report noted, the pandemic has elevated issues long overdue for discussion. And for the committee members, the commission members, it really kind of bucketed them into instructional programs, time schedules, and calendars. And that was kind of the circle in which we proceeded for those first meetings. But a general theme, and I quote from their recommendations, was that a myriad of programs once referred to as non-traditional are rapidly becoming permanent fixtures of the everyday educational landscape in Nevada. Where non-traditional pathways were once considered alternatives for students who struggled in more traditional programs, we now understand that a diverse set of program offerings is required to truly meet the needs of every student. Examples of these, of course, being distance learning, competency-based learning, personalized learning, project-based learning, independent study, and work-based learning. But one of their key recommendations is that rather than having individual unconnected program approval processes and requirements, Nevada schools need a unified method for determining how they will provide rich pathways for students moving forward. With regard to time schedules and calendars, the Commission sought to formalize flexibility that was provided during this past year, but the members also wanted to make it very clear that there's no desire to limit instructional time. So often, and this is true across the country, I'll hear schools say, we need to get rid of seat time or deal with seat time. Especially in light of the learning loss that's happened this year, there's nobody who's desiring to limit it. If anything, there's a recognition of the urgency to address the learning loss and widening achievement gaps this past year. This year spotlighted the inability of traditional time-based measures of attendance to equate to measures of learning. And the Commission's top priority is to find every way possible to meet the needs of their students during this unprecedented time, while creating systems that will be more resilient and nimble in the future. As the discussions progressed, it was clear that the type of systemic changes the Commission envisions are going to need time to develop. So as a result, the new system recommendations are while they're formulating the new system recommendations, the Commission respectfully requested the extension of flexibility granted during the pandemic, many of which you're hearing today in Senate Bill 215 and in the amendment. The Commission is now properly phased to begin the next phase of work, which is to begin developing some of those long-term policy recommendations. And I look forward to going on this journey with them. Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I'm available for questions. And I can also introduce Felipe Avila from Clark County School District, one of our esteemed commission members.
Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Senator Dennis, would you like to go to the next speaker?
Yeah. I believe we have Mr. Avila is there somewhere. Oh, there he is.
Mr. Avila, please go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Carla. And thank you, Senator Dennis and Superintendent Ebert, for inviting me to be a part of this exciting announcement. My name is Felipe Avila, and I am a junior at East Career and Technical Academy in the Clark County School District. I am enrolled in the Certified Nursing Assistant program at East Tech, where I have found an interest in public policy and public health. I have been fortunate at my school to have the opportunity to select a pathway tailored to my interests and to participate in career-connected learning. Not everyone in Nevada has the same opportunities I've had. This bill seeks to bridge that inequality gap and will help expand the opportunity for flexible learning to other students across Nevada. I was honored to be invited by Superintendent Ebert to serve on the Blue Ribbon Commission for a globally prepared Nevada. It was amazing to see so many local and state leaders banding together, committed to helping students like me. It was immediately clear to me that the leaders in education truly wanted to hear from me, from the other student participants and me, about our experiences navigating our education in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. In addition, being a voice for students allowed me to represent thousands of other students across the state. While the COVID-19 pandemic has been difficult for everyone in our state, I am grateful that our state leaders are focused on what we can learn from this experience in order to better help students recover and continue to grow in their education. I am proud that Senate Bill 215 will help more students across Nevada to have a personalized learning experiences that support them to meet their goals. Thank you, and I will now hand it back to Senator Dennis.
Thank you very much. You have Senator Donate's alumni from East Tech here, so you have it's good to hear from a student. You know, in that process, and I will point this out, I mean, it was a diverse group that met with the Blue Ribbon Commission, and obviously student voices were very important in that process too. So appreciate Felipe being involved in. So with that, Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you for considering the bill. Once again, it provides more flexibilities needed to support our schools and our students. And I urge your support of SB 215, and I'm happy to answer any questions or with any of the other folks too.
Thank you, Senator Dennis, for the bill presentation. And I'll go to the committee, and do we have any questions? Well, I don't see any right this minute, but I will ask one. So can you tell me that on the, let's see, it was section 2.6 below that, subsection F, on or before August 1st, all school districts and charter schools must implement their plan as developed under subsection 6. Can you talk a little bit about that plan? And obviously we won't have the whole plan, but just kind of give us an overview of what kinds of things that will be involved.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe Superintendent Ebert probably is best to handle, or one of her staff.
Great, thank you, Senator Dennis and Vice Chair Dondera Loop. For the record, Joan Ebert, State Superintendent of Public Instruction. What we were looking at initially, following two paths. One was just looking at the technology, making sure that it was readily available for the schools. And then Senate Bill 66 came about, and I think that will cover, devices, technology, bandwidth, students having access. So we will be working very closely with the school districts and with OSIT once that comes into play. The other component that some people don't think about is learning at a distance. Well, we've all thought about it during the pandemic, but the tools and resources that a child may need to participate in learning. So even though they have the opportunity to attend a school building, if they're learning from home, there may be resources such as building materials, if they're participating in art courses, those components, and or I can actually go a much higher level. If a student is learning CAD at the high school level and they're learning at a distance, we learned that during the pandemic, some of those licenses and resources were only made available at the school building, and the children were learning at home. So making sure that as school districts move forward, and schools across our state, that they have all of those pieces in their plan to deliver instruction in such a way.
Thank you very much for that answer. I think it helps us define how we're going forward, and I appreciate your expertise. Other questions from the committee? Senator Lang, did you have a question? I don't know if she can hear me. Senator Lang, did you have a question? Okay. Other questions by the committee? Senator Buck, please.
Thank you, Vice Chair Dondera Loop. I was just wondering what the districts are going to say. I can imagine, I mean, I know that they're working toward helping their teachers and students with technology. And some of the districts or charter schools are ahead of others, but I think that was a definite need. But how, what are the districts saying about the whole internet issues and lack of issues or lack of internet across the valley?
Madam Chair, this is Senator Dennis. I can start. I'm sure you'll be hearing from districts as you get to the testimony. But they were part of this process. There was several different representatives that were there and part of this. I think if we'd had this discussion a year ago, it would have been a totally different discussion. 5 years ago, we actually put in place a competency-based trial, but we weren't quite ready to have the full discussion. The pandemic has really changed the way people think about what we can do in education, and so this is the perfect moment. So I think all the districts are looking at that and trying to come up with how they're going to do that. But I believe that we're going to have some of those folks come up during the testimony. I don't know if the superintendent has any additional comments on that, but that's where those are the discussions that I've seen and had.
Or just affirm Senator Dennis's comment that they were all included as part of the work that transpired, as well as you will hear when they testify this afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you. And Senator Dennis, I would agree that this conversation would have been very different a year ago. Senator Buck, is that it? Do you have anything else?
No, thank you. Thank you, Chair or Vice Chair.
Thank you. Any additional questions from the committee? Okay, not seeing any additional questions. We will go to those in support testimony and broadcasting. When you're ready, please add the first caller.
Thank you, Vice Chair. To testify in support on SB 215, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, if you'd like to testify in support on SB 215, please press *9 now. Caller with the last 3 digits, 927, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Thank you, Vice Chairwoman Dondera Loop. My name is Hava Ahmad, Hawahahmad, and I'm here representing the Clark County Education Association. The Clark County Education Association is the official bargaining partner for the Clark County School District, representing the 18,000 licensed professionals who recently celebrated 1 year of distance learning. CCEA engages and promotes bipartisan advocacy for the advancement of educational policy in the state of Nevada and in Clark County. CCEA supports SB 215. Though the COVID-19 pandemic made educators across the state, and especially in Clark County School District, transition to distance learning with little notice, our educators have done everything they can to assess the challenges that have occurred with distance learning. As we return to in-person learning, we know 2 things to be true. The digital divide created by the COVID-19 pandemic uncovered inequities in education between the haves and the have-nots, predominantly negatively impacting students of color and students in lower socioeconomic brackets. We also know that to bring Nevada's K-12 education system into the modern age, we must make significant investments from our stakeholders and taxpayers to provide infrastructure and training. However, when we live in what is supposed to be the greatest country in the world, we must ask why we don't already leverage technology to help our students become the innovators for tomorrow. And we must ask why it has taken until 2021 to get competency-based learning to allow children to advance in their education. Because of COVID-19, we have had to learn new tricks in record time. However, with additional training, investments in technology infrastructure, and processes created for distance learning, Nevada may be able to utilize and leverage technology to provide an education to our students that focuses and promotes their academic growth. CCEA supports SB 215, and we look forward to working with our bargaining partner to create and implement distance learning over the long term that will provide more options to our students and more education and opportunity for creativity to our teachers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits, 498. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Erica Valdez, ERICAVALDRIZ with the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of SB 215. The Vegas Chamber believes this bill ensures Nevada students to continue their momentum and achievement through their completion of a course through distance learning. Especially in this day and age and on, having a plan of action to better improve distance learning is critical for our students. We believe providing the necessary technology together with a plan for the community, families, and school staff will make certain of Nevada's students' success. We believe this bill creates and encourages additional transparency between the parents or legal guardians, people, the teacher, and school districts, especially in Section 4. Thank you, Chair and members of the committee, for your time. We urge your support for this bill.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits, 011. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
My name is Brenda Pearson, BRENDAPEARSON. I'm here speaking on behalf of the Clark County Education Association and behalf of a teacher named Grace Angel. Hello, Vice Chairman Dondero Loop and committee members. My name is Grace Angel. I have been teaching in the Clark County School District for 20 years and currently serve as the Technology Learning Strategist at Berkeley L. Bunker Elementary School. I am providing this testimony in support of Senate Bill 215 with particular focus to the following points as it pertains to students, Section 1 and Section 3. Both changes offer students who are thriving the opportunity to move forward without hindrance. Often, courses are planned to span a semester. Students who complete coursework early, if allowed to, are often waiting in an online virtual limbo. Students should not be penalized for their own pacing when taking distance education courses. Neither should they be held back. This bill in particular will ensure that this is not the case. Again, I am in support of Senate Bill 215. This opportunity is applicable to those students who need to catch up or to get ahead in their learning. School systems have implemented timelines for student learning, and some students have the ability and motivation to move ahead with their learning at their own pace. Senate Bill 215 gives students the freedom to choose.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits, 945. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
For the record, my name is Charlie Melvin, CharlieMelvin, PR Director and co-founder at Power to Parent. We're calling in support of SB 215. We believe it is imperative to have legislation regarding distance education. Excuse me, I'm sorry, had something come through. To have legislation regarding distance learning, as it will serve to better prepare our parents, students, and our teachers during times when distance ed is necessary to implement. Further, offering a distance education option for families is important for different challenges that face families today. We appreciate Section 3 of this bill and are grateful for the language to allow students to finish a distance ed course early for those students who excel in certain subjects. Lastly, identifying students who may not have sufficient technology in advance can prevent the problems that occurred at the beginning of the pandemic and close the technological gap that exists among our students today. It is for those reasons we support this bill, and we thank everyone who's worked on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits, 692. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Mary Przenski, MaryPierczynski, representing the Nevada Association of School Superintendents. And we are in support of SB 215 and want to thank the Blue Ribbon Commission for their work on this bill, and also formulating the commission has given stakeholders a great opportunity to really impact legislation, and we appreciate their work all the way through. This bill is good. It gives students some flexibility, so we're in support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits, 080, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Education Committee. My name is Leonardo Benavides, LeonardoBenavides, with the Clark County School District, testifying today in support of SB 215. We want to thank Senator Dennis for sponsoring this bill and the Blue Ribbon Commission for their work in bringing forward the recommendations that are the framework for this bill. As this past year has shown, the world of education has forever changed as we shifted to a full distance model. Even as we return to some form of in-person learning, distance education has forever become a part of the equation for how we'll reach a subset of students. This is why CCSD Superintendent Jesus Jara was a member of the Blue Ribbon Commission, to help ensure innovation is at the forefront for how we educate our students. SB 215 also gives school districts the flexibility needed so instruction isn't restricted to a set time on a calendar in order to meet the needs of all students as we develop these new long-term distance education models that satisfy the learning needs for our diverse student population. Finally, we wanted to note that we have officially requested to remove the fiscal note as this bill entails work that the district is already undertaking. Once again, I want to thank Senator Dennis for sponsoring this important bill and letting us speak today about the importance of support for distance education. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits, 874, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon. For the record, my name is Rebecca Garcia, REBECCA-GARCIA, President of the Nevada Parent Teacher Association. I also have had the privilege to serve as a parent representative on the Blue Ribbon Commission for a Globally Prepared Nevada. The pandemic has shown a light on many challenges in education. For more than 80 years, Nevada PTA's mission has been to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. Nevada PTA supports SB 215. Nevada PTA would like to acknowledge Superintendent Ebert and the team at NDE for proactively convening broad stakeholders to not just help our education system recover, but look for innovative ways to improve and bring forward and make our education system better, and also for bringing forward today's amendment. Thank you, Senator Dennis, for bringing forward this bill as well, based on the Blue Ribbon Commission recommendations. It is essential that instructional delivery models meet the needs of today's students and have the flexibility to adapt to changing needs of students and systems. Students need individual pathways to learning that will allow them to graduate from Nevada schools ready for a productive career and life. This bill addresses important needs, including focusing on mastery versus minutes and relevant updates for distance learning options. Any parent or educator will tell you that children are unique, and it's time that our education system gives students the autonomy to pursue their education in a timeline and manner that works for them. Ensuring competency-based education and technology options are available is important to meeting the diverse needs of our students. This bill is a starting steps towards ensuring that all Nevada students have equitable, personalized learning pathways to receive high-quality education that will benefit not just their own future, but the future of our state. Thank you again for bringing forward this bill, and we support its passage.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Caller with the last three digits, 411, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. For the record, this is Lindsay Anderson, LINDSAYANDERSON, on behalf of the Washoe County School District. We're in support of Senate Bill 215. Key members of our staff have been fully engaged in this work and provided important technical expertise as members of the Blue Ribbon Commission. Continuing to build out the infrastructure we've developed through the pandemic as it relates to devices, connectivity, distance learning, and other systems to help our students be successful. We need to keep that option going into the future, and this bill is an important step in that direction. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Next caller, please.
Once again, if you'd like to testify in support on SB 215, please press star 9 now. Chair, there are no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to opposition.
Thank you, Vice Chair. To testify in opposition on SB 215, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, if you'd like to testify in opposition on SB 215, please press star 9 now. Vice Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll move to neutral.
To testify in neutral on SB 215, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, if you'd like to testify in neutral on SB 215, please press star 9 now. Vice Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Then we'll close public testimony and we'll go back to Senator Dennis. Do you have any closing remarks?
Just a couple. Appreciate the opportunity to have this discussion today. As I mentioned earlier, the discussion today is a lot different than we would have had a year ago. 5 years ago, we actually had a few of us, I can't remember, but it might have, Senator Hammond may have participated with us. I know that Senator Becky Harris at the time and I had an opportunity to go tour a school that was based on competency-based education. And that's when the light for me turned on because there was a school where kids actually got to move at their own pace. And these weren't high achievers or necessarily low achievers. They were just regular kids. Some of them were lower achievers, but in that environment, they were able to move at their own pace. And in some places where they struggled, they had more time. In other places, they could go faster. And that's what I envisioned for our kids here in Nevada. And that's what this bill will do. It will help us to really meet their individual needs as we move forward, so that they can learn in the way that they best need to learn. And I'm grateful for the Blue Ribbon Commission and the superintendent putting that together so that we could have that discussion and bring forward this bill today, and urge your support as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Dennis. And with that, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 215, and I'll hand the gavel back over to the chair.
Thank you. Okay, so we will now open the hearing on Senate Bill 194. Senator Lang, I believe you're up now.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Dennis. For the record, I'm Roberta Lang, representing State Senate District 7 in Clark County, and I'm here to present Senate Bill 194. The state seal on civics and civics education. I want to first start by thanking Jen Sturm and Asher Killian for helping me with my proposed amendment and getting it ready for today's hearing. The Education Testing Service issued an insightful report in 2012 calling Fault Lines in Our Democracy, Civic Education, Voting Behavior, and Civic Engagement in the United States. The report warns that many U.S. students lack an acceptable level of knowledge about civics. In a national assessment survey, only about 1/4 of U.S. students showed proficiency in civics. Specifically, only 27% of fourth graders could identify the purpose of the United States Constitution, and only 22% of eighth graders could recognize the role performed by the U.S. Supreme Court. In a national survey released by the Woodrow Wilson National Fellowship Foundation in 2018, they found that only 36% of Americans, so that's only 1 in 3 Americans, can actually pass a multiple choice test consisting of questions from the U.S. citizenship test, which has a passing score of 60. In 2016, the Pew Research Center reported that the U.S. voter participation came in 31st among 35 developed countries. These dismal statistics show that not only is there a serious civic education problem in the United States, but the numbers should also renew our drive to address this issue now. Why does it matter how many students lack this knowledge in their country and its government? According to an ETS report, civic knowledge promotes support for democratic values. The more knowledge we have about how our government works, the more likely we are to support the core values of democratic self-government. Civic knowledge promotes political participation. The more knowledge people have, the more likely they are to participate in civic and political affairs. And the more knowledge we have of civic affairs, the less likely we are to have a generalized mistrust and fear of public life. We are still learning about the far-reaching impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic has had worldwide, and it appears the pandemic has only amplified the polarization in politics. Just after the 2020 election, the Pew Research Center reported that more than 3 in 4 Americans said the country was now more divided than before the outbreak. While many can argue the different reasons why politics has become so polarizing, I think everyone can agree that civility educated populace is critical in addressing some of the issues at their source. People who are more civically educated and engaged have improved critical thinking skills and better can filter through the information that is out there. Now let me talk to you a little bit about what Senate Bill 194 does. Sections 2 and 3 of Senate Bill 194 establishes the State Seal of Civics program to be awarded to high school students with a high level of proficiency in civics and outlines the requirements needed to earn this seal. We struck Section 4. Section 5 requires the state superintendent to adopt regulations that will allow the superintendent to designate a school as a, quote, school of civic excellence, and designate a pupil as a student civic leader, or designate a school employee as an educator civic leader. Section 6 was deleted. Section 7 of the bill requires the superintendent to establish the Pupil Civic Advisory Panel. The panel will submit recommendations to the superintendent and the legislature on recommendations for changes to social studies education. The panel is also made up of students and adults. Section 8 requires the results of the civics exam currently administered to high school students to be reported to the NDE. Sections 9 and 10 of Senate Bill 194 add civics to the list of subjects included within social studies, one of the core academic subjects outlined in the NRS, and requires the corresponding establishment of standards, content, and performance. It also speaks about a service project that will be required by the year 2027. Finally, Section 11 includes additional communities in the list of communities whose culture, history, and contributions must be examined within the standards of content and performance for ethnic and diversity studies. In conclusion, I would like to conclude with remarks from U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, who once said, "Securing our democracy requires teaching the next generation to understand and respect our system of government. This bill is an important step in helping to ensure a more civically educated and engaged children graduate from our schools." Thank you, Mr. Chair. And if I could, I would like to introduce to you Eric Van Holten. He is from Quebecois Academy in Las Vegas. and has a civic program that he teaches to his students, which has many of the things that I'm asking for us to do in our bill.
Awesome. Thank you. For the record, my name is Eric Van Houten. I teach 12th grade AP U.S. Government and Politics at Quebecois Academy on the east side of Las Vegas. I want to thank Senator Lang for inviting me to be here. Really excited to be here and discuss Senate Bill 194, which deals with civics education. Now, when we think of civics education, we got to think about what our end goals are. What are we trying to achieve? I'd say we want to achieve a strong democracy where we have citizen participation and we want to have trust in the democratic process. And to get to that point, we need our students to have content knowledge and ways to act on that knowledge. The current law that we have has a civics education test that I gave this year, but it's a little bit ambiguous. There's no required score to pass, and teachers are left to their own devices to make a 50-question multiple choice assessment identical to the civics portion of the naturalization test. But the naturalization test has fewer questions and it's done orally. Now, Senate Bill 194 clears that up a bit by creating a pass score of 85% that would qualify a student to be on the path to get the state seal of civics. That's the content knowledge. The second component of Senate Bill 194, and the part that I'm most jazzed about, is the service learning requirement. This is the action component. I've been having my students complete an action civics project for years now. This is the part where students are in the driver's seat of their own learning and they choose how they will become civically engaged in their community. Students have led voter registration drives. They've brought politicians and government officials into the classroom. They've been poll workers. They've also done research on proposed legislation in this year's legislative session and have emailed representatives about it. Some of you likely have those emails sitting in your inbox right now. These action civics projects work. Students become very invested in them and the results speak for themselves. The class of 2020 at Quebecois Academy that just graduated, we had 100% of students that were eligible to vote, registered to vote by the time they graduated. Our student turnout in the Democratic caucus last year was 2 times higher than the state average. And in the June 2020 primary, our student turnout rate was 25% higher than the state average. Action civics or service learning projects work. They allow students to apply their knowledge while strengthening their community. Senate Bill 194 includes content knowledge requirements coupled with action, and these are the ingredients necessary for strong civics education. And it takes Nevada in the right direction, and I hope to see this bill move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. And with that, Mr. Chair, we would be happy to take any questions you might have.
Okay, I'll ask a quick question because we've over the last few sessions we've added civics education pieces to the statutes. Can you talk a little bit how? And I think Mr. Van Houten talked about some of that. Having been involved in the original legislation for the one that requires the test be given but not necessarily scored. What kind of things are you making better with this and as we move forward?
I appreciate that question. Thank you. I think we can all look back over the last few years and understand why it is that we think this is so important to our nation and to our children. A lot of us had civics education when we were in school. We learned to value each ethnicity and to value people as a whole. And I think some of that has fallen apart. It's also fallen apart in I feel like our kids aren't getting the connection between government and them. And I think that by doing a project where they have to go out in their community and they have to work, they get that connection and they know how it works. So when they leave school, they will be able to have learned something that's going to take them further on in their life and be able to use that as an adult when they're out of school. Eric, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd say the service learning component to me is very essential, because now we actually have our content knowledge and now we're actually applying it to the real world. And I've seen students really take that to the next level and create opportunities that really help them out in the future and make it seem like the democracy is there for them to be a part of.
And I would also say, Chair Dennis, when I was doing campaign work years ago, I would have students come to my campaigns and they'd come with their sheet of paper where they had to do X number of hours, and we were able to teach them about the process of how someone that they were volunteering for was working to get elected. And it was a very valuable process, not only for the kids, but for the staff.
Thank you. And I think the other part in this is that because there's a seal, it's something that they can work towards, right? And so, when I did the original bill, just to have every student have to take some civics test, it was requiring everyone. But this allows those that want to now that we can, to get a certain score, so they have to study and prepare for that. So, all right, I see Senator Dondero Loop, and then Senator Buck.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for bringing the bill. I have a question on the amendment that we were given. On section 7.3, sub 1B, I think it was line 15, yes. It says, how do you envision, it says that the superintendent of public instruction is going to decide on the members that will be appointed. How do you envision that happening, and how will that happen, that those will be, how will the recruitment go? How will you get the word out? What will happen there so that we identify those members?
Thank you, Senator Dondero Loop. I actually put a lot of thought into this, and I think that we heard in some earlier testimony about other bills we had about how people weren't showing up to committees and they weren't involved in those committees. And so really try to think about, if you were looking at a civics course, what kinds of people would you want to have on that? And that's how I came up with the list. I think that, and you'll notice I put a couple kids on there from the Nevada Youth Legislature, because those are kids that are already doing this, and I think they could have such great input for kids that are going to study history and in the coursework. And I think that there are a couple of ways that the superintendent could recruit people to be on these committees. First of all, you can notify the school district, and the school district can send it out. You can talk to people in the business community. I just think there are a variety of ways, and I think that you probably will get more people than you want to have room to have participate, just because it will be such a worthwhile committee, and that has an end goal of what they're trying to do, which is to create a civics program within social studies. Eric, did you want to add anything?
No, I think you summed it up real well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So did you have, just as a question with the superintendent, so did you and the superintendent identify who would be on this committee? Did you have that conversation?
Yeah, I appreciate that, Senator. No, I did not have a conversation with the senator about the makeup of the committee. What I did do, though, is I looked in the NRS for the STEAM and CEL and the biliteracy, financial literacy program, and looked at the types of people that made up the committee, and I modeled it after what was already an existing law.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Senator Buck, I believe you had a question.
Thank you, Chair Dennis. Thank you, Senator Lang. What specific, say, curriculum or textbook, and then will parents have access, just so, the transparency is key?
Thank you for that question. I think that the school districts with the Department of Education create their curriculum. And I think that the transparency, I think this bill is very transparent, and I don't think anyone's trying to hide anything. And that curriculum would be available for anyone, just as any curriculum is available for any parent who wants to see it or talk to a teacher about it.
Right. Anyone? Then Senator Hammond.
Thank you, Chair, and good afternoon, Senator Lang. I put my name on this because I think this is a great bill that, I always think that there's a lack of civic education in the state of Nevada, and always was striving to do more in that area. And I think that this bill hits a lot. I love the fact that you brought a teacher in who's doing this work today. And I'm glad that you're talking about transparency and curriculum. I'm going to go off of that same line of questioning, I suppose, looking at 7.7. This is the section that talks about the Pupil Civic Advisory Panel and what they will be tasked with doing. Again, I just want to make sure that we want to be very clear to everybody, because it says here that they are to create, maintain a strategic plan, and then B, identify learning activities, C, develop the criteria a pupil must meet to be awarded, and D, apply for grants and that kind of stuff. So I guess the question is, when you're talking about this panel and what they put together, do you envision this as this is how we're going to put it together, this is how we see it, and everybody has to do it exactly how we do it here? Or is this section sort of devised to put a plan together that is more of a guideline? This is what you could do in order to get this. And you're still going to have very specific requirements as far as if you're going to obtain this recognition, you have to fulfill this. But as far as what it takes to get these steps done, you're going to give some latitude to folks, right? They're going to have, if you're going to say do a service project, you're not going to tell them, prescribe exactly what, where you have to do your service project, or where you something like that. I just want to make sure that you can kind of give us an idea of what you're envisioning with this particular section, I guess.
Sure, I appreciate that, Senator Hammond. So I see the panel as an advisory panel, that they can come up with a skeleton, I guess, of what's going to happen. But one of the great things about teaching is the creativity a teacher has and the creativity students have. And so there'll be guidelines for what they need to meet. But how they do it, that's the great thing about what they get to figure out in their classroom, in their school district, and especially when you talk about the oh gosh, I lost my word. When they're going to go out and do their project. A student is going to become more engaged if they get to have a say in what they're going to go do. And so like I said, I think the panel is an advisory group that will advise the school districts and in turn down to the teachers about what the program is going to look like in their school district.
Thank you, Senator. And the reason why I asked the question, and I think you and I have had several conversations, it really is to sort of cut off that conversation. I keep hearing that people believe that this is the next step to prescribing exactly how to teach a social studies curriculum, and then some groups can have an advantage because they're going to be told that this. I think you and I, I'm going to that people believe that this is going to be a way to indoctrinate somehow. And that's not the way I saw it, but I wanted to let you give an explanation of that, because intent is important for people to understand what a bill is trying to do. And I think you and I are on the same page. We're just creating an avenue for students to then take ownership of something that will allow them to fully be enriched in their own country, in their own community, feel that civic pride of being a part of something. So I appreciate your explanation. This really is designed to be a skeleton. It's an advisory group. They're going to give you sort of the bones, the structure, and then complete it, right? And then really feel like you're participating in something worthwhile.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? I am not seeing anybody else. Okay. Well, if I believe you're done now, Senator Lang, so we can move on to those that will be speaking in support. So we'll take the testimony now. Those in support, if BPS can put the next caller on.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support on SB 194, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, if you'd like to testify in support on SB 194, please press star 9 now.
Not sure. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So I need.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Please stand by just one moment for us.
Sure, thank you.
To testify in support on SB 194, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
I apologize for the pause. Just one moment for us, please.
Chair Dennis, are you able to hear me now?
Okay. Chair Dennis, can
Yes.
you hear us?
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay, and we are doing support?
Correct.
Okay, for anyone in support of 190, sorry, what's the number again?
194.
Okay. If you are in support for 194, please press star 9 to be placed in the queue. Okay, the number with the last 3 digits of 196. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. And you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Anika Dowling. That's ANNIKADOWLING. And I'm the Civic Engagement Program Manager with the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, here in support of Senate Bill 194. I'm speaking out in support of this bill because as a Black woman, I didn't have the opportunity to learn about civics and politics until I was much older, and had seen and experienced the adverse effects of my own community's ignorance of how civic participation worked. Once I did learn this as a young adult, I made it my mission to become involved and encourage others to do so as well. This is especially true for my young daughter, who I share all of what I've learned and continue to learn about civics and participate in shaping our government. I firmly believe that a well-rounded civics education would promote a greater electoral participation amongst young voters and would help garner a more proactive culture of community engagement. As it stands right now, youth voters tend to have a considerably low turnout compared to their older cohorts because of a lack of information regarding our political process, platforms, and voting procedures. There's also much skepticism concerning whether or not their vote truly matters. I believe by passing SB 194 that we can educate young voters about the voting process, how government works, and the responsibilities of our elected officials. It is our duty to provide students with an opportunity to learn more about the voting process before they're eligible to vote, to help us increase their participation when they are eligible. These students are our future leaders, and we owe it to them to educate and create a path to participate. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. If we could go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 898, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Annette Magnus, and I'm the Executive Director of Battleborn Progress. We are in strong support of SB 194 and thank Senator Lang for bringing this important bill forward. Studies have shown that adolescent civic engagement leads to greater socioeconomic status in adulthood. K-12 schools are uniquely positioned in a way that they reach all young people with diverse backgrounds. Right? By providing civic education to students, it better prepares them to participate in our democracy, and that is what we should all want, more participation. As someone who went through the Clark County School District, I was lucky enough to have amazing teachers like Mrs. Jensen at Becker Middle School and Mr. Fish at Centennial High School, who helped shape the work that I have the privilege to do every day. But we can and should be doing more for our young people. Our goal should always be empowering our young people to learn about the political process and get involved. Please pass SB 194. Thank you.
All right, we can go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 832, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Thank you. This is Chris Davin, the Executive Director and President of Equality Nevada, and also the LGBT Center of Henderson Equality Center. I'm reaching out to you today, Senators, to support this bill, Senate Bill 194, to bring Nevada in line with 6 other states that have revised their statutes to include the teaching of various backgrounds and history for our youth in schools to learn about. In all 6 states, Illinois, Oregon, California, New Jersey, Colorado, the statutes were revised to include the teachings of Pacific Islander, Chicano, Latino, Middle Eastern descent, women, people with disabilities, immigrants or refugees, and people of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community that have made history that's notable. Our youth need to be educated at all people and not just the standards of what was decided in past years. Times are changing, and we need to be supporting our youth education on everyone that has made history. With your support, we can make history and bring Nevada, the 6th state, to update the teaching of history in schools. We would like this language to be added and updated, thus teachers can start to include people in various backgrounds in history to be taught in class. The Gay, Lesbian, Straight Education Network, GLSEN, estimates that 1 in 10 educators in the United States identifies as LGBTQ. This data provided from the moral imperative for showing pride in the classroom and for finding ways to include that the LGBT community in schools curriculum. All youth and adolescents have the fundamental right to be represented and to feel safe in their school environment. Yet many do not because of their sexual orientation and gender expression. Research indicates by developing lessons that avoid bias and include positive representation of the LGBT people, history, and events, students report increased feelings to the school community. Additionally, inclusive curriculum benefits of all students by prompting diversity and teaching them about the various identities and contributors within their communities. We ask you today to please support Senate Bill 194 and please make Nevada the 6th state to incorporate the teaching of all these various backgrounds, including those in the LGBT community. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you repeat your name again for the record? Did we lose you? Hello?
Chair?
No, I'm here. First name is Chris, C-H-R-I-S. Last name Davin, D-A-V-I-N. Executive Director for Equality Nevada and Henderson Equality Center.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 577, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon. Chris Daly, D-A-L-Y, Nevada State Education Association, the voice of Nevada educators for over 120 years. NSEA supports SB 194, creating a state seal in civics program, and to be more inclusive in the study of culture, history, and contributions of diverse American communities. A high-quality public education system is foundational to build and maintain an engaged democratic society. A renewed focus on student civic engagement is a critical component in this work. The creation of the State Seal in Civics program provides student recognition and promotes the importance of civics. NSEA also supports updating the list of communities to be included in ethnic and diversity studies who have contributed so much to Nevada and across the country. This includes Pacific Islander Americans, Chicano and Latino Americans, Middle Eastern Americans, women, persons with disabilities, immigrants or refugees, and persons who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 717, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Hi, my name is Sarah Cirillo, and I am a political consultant and analyst from Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm calling in due to the fact that while many who share my fundamental political beliefs want to imagine that this is a bill regarding identity politics, I'm here as a transgender female who is out and very proud of my standing in this community and the world to say that Senate Bill 194 is not about identity politics, but it's about allowing those to see the world and the United States as it is today. The narrative of the founding fathers are important, and our history can't be denied. But moving forward, Senate Bill 194, when passed, will allow all those who are stakeholders in the great United States, and specifically our state of Nevada, to understand that they have a place in the table and a place in the discussions as to where we're going as a society and who they are as a people. It's imperative that this bill gets passed so generations moving forward are not left behind, mired in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 086, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin. Caller with the last three digits, 086, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin. If you are having trouble unmuting, just press *6. Once again, caller with the last three digits, 086, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Sorry, did it work now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. Stephen Barney, STEPHEN BARNEY. I'm an educator teaching middle school in Las Vegas and would like to express support for SB 194. Our students are growing up in a world filled with people of all different identities and cultures. If the goal of education is to prepare students for the world that they are about to enter, whether in a university setting or straight to the workforce, they need to be exposed to these cultures in high school. For students who identify with various marginalized identities, seeing themselves represented in the classroom and in the content they're learning can be incredibly impactful. It allows them to build connections with their past, celebrate their heritage, and feel as though their voices matter in the field of education. As a queer person myself, and or someone who identifies as LGBTQ+, and the teacher of LGBTQ+ students, I can say that this bill would reaffirm their experiences and make them feel accepted. So often that's not the case, with this topic being seen as taboo or controversial. This leads to a lack of understanding and bullying coming from other students or even staff members. With this bill, students will be given the opportunity to learn and understand, leading the way to a more accepting and safer school and school system. I urge this body to make the decision to include the history of diverse identities and groups, paving the way for more understanding and empathy. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 133, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin. Caller with the last three digits, 133, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin. If you are having trouble unmuting, please press *6. You may proceed.
Hi, yes, hello. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Well, hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Alexa Aispuro. That is ALEXAAISPURO. And I'm a youth organizer with Chispa Nevada, a program of the Legal Conservation Voters, and a proud partner of Let Nevadans Vote. Chispa works to build the power of Latinx families in Nevada to have a say in the environmental decisions that affect us. I am here today in support of SB 194. As we know, this bill would give public high schools and charter schools the option to opt in to a program that would require civics education in their institutions. As someone who works closely with high school students, I have had one-on-one conversations with them where they say they don't believe in voting, they do not know the importance of it, and some believe that the only election that matters are the presidential ones. During the times that I would register students to vote, there were many times where students in the classroom didn't fill out the registration form because of the lack of general information they had on the process overall. Many students did not know the process of voting, they didn't know how to vote, where to vote, and lastly, why even vote. There is a huge disconnect with our students in the importance of participating in our democracy, and it is up to us to ensure that we are giving the resources needed to our future generations to have a voice in our democracy and to be able to stand up for what they believe in. By passing Senate Bill 194, we are ensuring our future generations have access to this information that is vital to keep our democratic process equitable and to ensure Black, Indigenous, and people of color have a seat at the table, as well as being represented by people who look like them. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 085. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Hi, my name is Matthew Dang, MATTHEWDANG, and I'm the chairperson of the Southern Nevada API Queer Society, as well as a CCSD elementary school teacher. I'm an educator. I would like to express my support for SB 194. In order to form more active citizens, students need to learn about the diverse histories of people in this country. As a person of color who is also a teacher, I cannot emphasize the importance for students in high school to have understanding of various cultures before they graduate. In Nevada, where we have so much diversity, it's important for students to be aware of other cultures that exist outside their zip code. I am often the first Asian person that my students have interfaced with. As a result, they have lots of questions about my identity and culture. Sometimes these questions border on being microaggressive. Through my profession, I don't take offense and try to use this opportunity to teach them so that they know and don't offend other Asian people that they may interact with in the future while they're living in Las Vegas, where 10% of the population does identify as API. Also, as a queer educator, I believe that all students need to be made aware of people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and or queer. Studies have shown that these population students tend to experience higher rates of bullying and mental health issues. Schools can be traumatic sites for these individuals who may not be open about who they are for fear of retaliation or disownment. Being able to learn more about LGBTQ people who have been vital to the development of Southern Nevada and beyond will provide all students with a sense of safety and awareness. I urge you to support the passage of SB 194 to include the history of more diverse groups of people to make better citizens for us in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 135. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin. If you are having trouble unmuting, please press *6. Once again, caller with the last three digits, 135. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
My name is Carrie Durmick. It's KERRYDURMICK. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Carrie Durmick, and I'm the State Director of Albany's local Action Nevada. We are in strong support of SB 194. SB 194 would provide Nevada students with a well-rounded civics education, which would promote greater electoral participation amongst young voters and would help to garner a more proactive culture of community engagement. Studies have shown that adolescent civil engagement leads to greater status in adulthood. Voting, volunteering, and activism at a young age has been linked to more years of schooling, higher personal income, and fewer depressive symptoms in adulthood. Many young voters are uneducated about the voting process, how government works, and the responsibilities of elected officials. It is important that we provide students an opportunity to learn about voting before that they are eligible to vote. Thank you for your time, and please pass SB 194.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 201, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin. If you are having trouble unmuting, press *6. Once again, caller with the last three digits, 201, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chairman Dennis and committee members. For the record, my name is Emily Prasad Zamora, EMILYPERSAUD-ZAMORA, and I'm the Executive Director of Silver State Voices. I'm calling on behalf of our Voting Rights Coalition, Let Nevadans Vote, a coalition of 21 national and local organizations dedicating to ensuring fair and equitable elections for all Nevadans. Today, we stand in support of SB 194 because 20 years from now, the legislators in your seats will be the students who would have benefited from this piece of legislation. Part of our work at SSV is working with our partners to register Nevadans to vote, educating them on our political process, getting out the vote, and protecting the ability of Nevadans to vote through our election protection program. Many of our partners work very closely with the Nevada immigrant communities and assist a large number of folks with their naturalization process, including the USCIS assessment required for all new U.S. citizens. SB 194 would administer the same assessment to participating high school students. If naturalized citizens are required to pass this test as a threshold for their naturalization, it would seem appropriate for our up-and-coming and youngest electorate to become exposed to the same process before being able to cast their ballot. What we and our partners have seen is that the average Nevadan is not very well informed on our political process. This is especially true for first-time voters who are coming out of high school. We often see that young voters are uneducated about the voting process, how government works, and the responsibilities of elected officials, such as state senators. We often hear more experienced and well-informed voters complain that young people don't go out to vote and that they don't know what they're talking about. I ask this body of legislators, what are your responsibilities to educating the next generation of Nevadans? This is your opportunity to ensure that our children have the tools to be educated and in return become civically engaged. It's important to acknowledge our privilege of experiencing firsthand how democracy works. I support SB 194 because while I know that I will do everything to ensure that my child is educated, I want to make sure that his parents have the same opportunity to become civically engaged. This body has an obligation to better prepare young people to participate in our democratic process, whether they are a voter or an electorate. Our deepest gratitude to Senator Lang to bring this legislation forward and paving the way to educating Nevada's future voters. And a special thanks to Mr. Van Heusen at Quebecois Academy for his work on this as well. He was my brother's 6th grade teacher, and I saw firsthand how amazing of a teacher he was. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 080, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Dennis and members of the Education Committee. My name is Leonardo Benavides, LeonardoBenavides, with the Clark County School District, testifying today in support of SB 194. Now more than ever, it's important for students to be civically engaged and be an active part of their community. Providing the state seal will help incentivize students to take the social studies courses they need while also participating in service learning projects. These projects will help students understand the needs of their community and give back in some form that would help instill a sense of belonging. I want to thank Senator Lang for sponsoring this important bill. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 611. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Thank you, Chair Dennis, and thank you, Vice Chair, my own Senator Dondero Loop, and the members of the committee. My name is Eric Jang, ERICJENG, on behalf of the Asian Community Development Council and One API Nevada, here to support SB 194. Nevada is home to over 250,000 Asian Americans and then another 40,000 Pacific Islanders. It's important to make these distinctions because when we are talking about this bill that will include Pacific Islander as part of the communities, we in Clark County is Ninth Island, and we are the second largest, we have the second largest Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander populations just behind LA County in the mainland, which I think we definitely should celebrate that. It's very exciting. The next part I want to talk about this bill is we are just celebrated the 40-year anniversary of the passage of the 26th Amendment. That makes sure all voters can vote at the age of 18. That's a huge step, and I think that's something whenever I get to go to high school civics or AP Gov classes, I love to tell them about it. 40 years ago, Congress passed and then ratified 26th Amendment to make sure all voters can vote since 18. And we now have the responsibility to make sure they're well prepared to exercise their civic duty. So for us, we are aware that the infrastructure to support our community, we need to make sure that as we grow, as we are one of the fastest growing states, we provide the same kind of civic education for our students. On the community side, ACDC and One API Nevada provide critical resources and services, including youth programs such as college readiness bootcamp, graduation, and then we also do youth outreach. And these are the things we mentioned to them for the importance of civic education, of voter participation, and making sure their voices are heard. The last year, we saw unprecedented voter turnout for the Asian American Pacific Islander communities here in Nevada and nationwide. From 2010 to 2016, the number of eligible AAPI voters in Nevada grew 35%, and that's triple the statewide average. A well-rounded civic education will promote greater electoral participation, proactive engagement, and just generally make good citizens from the future, from our youth generation. There are strong signs of engagement among Asian youth in 2020, in large part because our young voters know how important it is. From K-pop group BTS and their phenomenal testimony in front of the UN Assembly on climate change, to now where we're seeing youth-led movement at the aftermath of rising AAPI hate crimes. They're no longer our future, they're our present, and we here have, that's why we're supporting this bill to make sure our youth are informed about how to register to vote, how to cast a ballot, making sure they know the importance of voting, and making sure they understand the communities and understand the importance of equality and inclusiveness and become civically engaged adults. We're here to ask for your support for SB 194. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 751. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Hello, I am Brady McGill. It's BRADY-MCGILL, the president of Las Vegas Pride. And we're here today in support of Senate Bill 194 and its proposed improvements to supporting diversity, inclusion, and representation in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller.
If you have recently joined the call and would like to testify in support on SB 194, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no more callers. Oh, I am so sorry. There's actually one more caller. Please stand by. Caller with the last three digits, 069, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Hello, this is Andre Wade, ANDREWADE, State Director for Silver State Equality. We are a statewide LGBTQ civil rights organization. And good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. In short, we are supportive of SB 194 and urge you vote in the affirmative to pass this important bill. Thank you.
Let's go to the next caller.
Chair, there are no more callers in support at this time.
Thank you. Let's go to those that are in opposition. Anyone wishing to give testimony in opposition? If you would add the first caller.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in opposition on SB 194, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, if you'd like to testify in opposition on SB 194, please press star 9 now. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Let's go to those that we wish to give testimony in neutral on this bill. Please add the next caller.
If you would like to testify in neutral on SB 194, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, if you'd like to testify in neutral on SB 194, please press star 9 now. Caller with the last three digits, 852, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Matt Alder, Mattalder, speaking on behalf of the Nevada Homeschool Network. By way of introduction, for those who are unfamiliar, Nevada Homeschool Network was established in the year 2000. We are advocates for Nevada families that have elected to direct the education of their children. NHN is the only statewide homeschooling advocacy group representing the interests of some 4,000 families across the state. With the striking of Section 6 of SB 194, Nevada Homeschool Network and the homeschooling community that we represent are neutral in regards to this bill. Nevada Homeschool Network would like to thank Senator Lang for giving homeschoolers a voice and listening closely and addressing our concerns to preserve the constitutional and fundamental rights of parents to direct their education of their own children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller in neutral.
Caller with the last three digits, 936, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Dennis, Vice Chair Dondera Loop, Senator Lang, and members of the Senate Committee on Education. This is Sarah Nick, SarahNick, on behalf of the Nevada Department of Education. The department is testifying in neutral on Senate Bill 194, and we look forward to working with Senator Lang on Senate Bill 194 moving forward, specifically regarding the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's go to the next caller.
Caller with the last three digits, 011, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Committee Chair Dennis and committee members. My name is Dr. Brenda Pearson, BrendaPearson, and I am here representing the Clark County Education Association. CCEA is testifying in neutral on Senate Bill 194. Senate Bill 194 underscores the importance of civics education in high school. It brings civics to the forefront by connecting curriculum with community-based projects while offering college credits for those high school students who meet the criteria. Concerns remain, though, regarding the proposed implementation of SB 194. Service learning incorporates service into the learning process, and if implemented appropriately, connects the student with their community. Incorporating service learning programs in schools across Nevada assumes that the educators are well-versed in this pedagogy. This is often not the case. Legislators must not merely propose programs for implementation, but must also ensure that quality implementation is prioritized. Quality implementation includes additional preparation and professional learning by both educators and schools, and at this time, the SB 193 has not addressed these components. Additionally, Silver State students can earn college credits for being awarded a state seal in civics, but we must consider the content area in which the credits are earned. College credits must not be used to replace the foundational coursework required by college students. We ask the sponsors of this bill to consider including language delineating the content areas in which credits can be earned. CCA appreciates the intent of SB 194, and we believe in the benefit of introducing a state seal of civics program to students across Nevada. To ensure that this program is as impactful as the sponsors have intended, it is essential that we first prepare our educators with knowledge and practices of civics and service learning. We must prioritize the implementation of quality programs in Nevada schools, and as written, SB 194 does not include the details necessary to create a high-yield learning opportunity for Nevada students. We look forward to working with the sponsors of this bill to bring it to fruition.
Thank you. Let's go on to the next caller.
Caller with the last 3 digits, 759. Please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Hello, my name is Elvira Diaz, and I don't know why they don't unmute. I'm in support for the bill SB 194. Would you like me to talk right now about the support?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Elvira Diaz. That's ELVIRA-DIAC. I am the Civic Engagement Organizer with the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada, here in support of the Senate Bill SB 194. I am currently a resident of Sparks, Nevada, and I live in Assembly District 30 and Senate District 13. Teaching our children to be engaged members of the democracy is our responsibility. I have a son who is transgender, who is a sophomore at Sparks High School. Because of his condition, I've been taking him, teaching him, we've been testifying, we've been volunteer, I've been teaching him how to voting, engage people. So he is very important and he's very engaged in civil society. But not all the children have the same mother like myself. Other children need to learn also. And we need to taught in schools. We should not take the responsibility to teach civic engagement lightly. The research shows that teens who are active in their community will enjoy a higher socioeconomic stance as an adult. Also, kids who volunteer are more likely to stay in school longer. They will earn more money, and they're less likely to suffer symptoms of depression. Also, I have been seeing many children on immigrants, for example, who they know less about the American government than their own parents. Their own parents, that are immigrants' parents, they have to take the study for the test for citizenship exam. And the kids they don't know the same knowledge. So it's important to pass this SB 194 to ensure that all our young people have the same chance to learn about the joy of civil engagement. Thank you so much, and I support SB 194. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to the next one in neutral. We are neutral testimony.
Once again, if you'd like to testify in neutral on SB 194, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. So let's go back. Let's go back to Senator Lang. Do you have any closing comments?
Thank you. I just leave you with this. When my son was in 5th grade, his teacher decided they were going to do a bill to make, to bring to the legislature to make the wild horse the co-state animal. During that process, I volunteered my time to go in once a week to teach the kids not only how a bill is made and how a bill goes through the Senate, we taught the kids about civics. In the beginning, the kids had no questions. They didn't really even have any idea about what we were talking about. After going through the process and teaching the kids to go out with a petition and get signatures, to teach the kids who are all assigned a legislator to call that legislator and tell them why this bill was important, to bring them up to the state legislature and have them testify before the committees in both the House and the Senate, and to have them to continue to call through the process. Unfortunately, 2 minutes before sine die, they lost their bid to have their bill passed by 1 vote. But it was a process those kids will never forget. They, in the beginning, talked not understanding government at all. At the end of the process, I can't tell you how many kids said, I want to run for office. I want to go to college and be a teacher. And so I think that we underestimate how important this is to our children, to teach them civics. And so I look forward to bringing this bill along the path and getting it passed into law. And I look forward to working with those who had comments today and questions to resolving some of those issues. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you very much. So with that, we'll go ahead and close the hearing on SB 194. And we'll go to our next item on the agenda, which is public comment. So I will now open up time for public comment. Remember, public comment is limited to 2 minutes per person. Please remember to state and spell your name for the record and indicate your affiliation, if any. So we'll broadcast production. Please add the first caller.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to participate in public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Once again, if you'd like to participate in public comment, please press *9 now. Caller with the last 3 digits, 080, please slowly state and spell your name for the record. You have 2 minutes and you may begin.
Good afternoon, Chair Dennis and members of the Education Committee. My name is Leonardo Benavides, Leonardo Benavides, with the Clark County School District, today here with a Good News Minute. I'm happy to share that both the Rancho High School Wind Ensemble and the Rancho High School Clarinet Choir have made the national semifinals of the very prestigious American Prize National Nonprofit Competitions in the Performing Arts. This competition provides a benchmark success for professional, collegiate, and high school divisions. So congratulations to the hardworking students and staff at Rancho High School for this achievement, and we wish them good luck for the rest of the competition. Thank you for letting me share this great news with you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And good news from my alma mater. Go Rams. All right, next caller.
Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no more callers at this time.
Okay, if we have no further callers at this time, that's all the business that we have for today. Make sure to keep your eye on your calendars. I know as we get closer to deadlines, we are planning to do this week, just for you to know, we are planning to have a meeting on Wednesday and on Friday. And we also are planning some evening meetings, not on Fridays, but on Wednesdays and Mondays. We might have, so keep an eye on your calendar for that. We just want to make sure we can get through all the bills. So with that, we have no further items to come before us, so we are adjourned. Thank you.